This is Of Dreams and Shadows, an enjoyable adventure game that works quite well solo. I usually like to use 2 characters, and there are a nice selection of characters to choose from, all with different strengths and weaknesses and different abilities. And there are 3 different enemies in the game. This is Morrigan, for example. There's also an undead lord called Arawn, and an enemy called the Dragon, and they all have different rules about how they are trying to take over the world, and they have their own quests that you draw from, and their own particular deck of enemies. So with Morrigan, for instance, you place quest and shadow tokens, each equal to half the number of champions, on random wild spaces. Place foes aligned to Morrigan on each quest and shadow token. So that's what I've done. I've drawn the quest token there and the shadow token there, and 1 enemy each, because we've got 2 characters, so half of 2 is 1. And we set up our characters with their starting spaces and their starting resources, and they can find more resources by buying it, or possibly recruiting companions and helpers from this 4 cards here, just off the edge of the table there. Let me show you. And those are the 4 resources that are currently available to buy or to be found, and that's called the hand. These are the 2 enemy cards that are on the board. So the character with the highest initiative, or agility rather, goes first. So that will be Freya in this case, and she has 3 available actions that she can use in her turn. She can travel from one space to another space, so here to here, for example, or she can rest to regain 2 health if she's taken any damage, and she can acquire a resource card if she's in an appropriate place to do that, or she can cast a spell, or she can gift or take a resource from another character on her space, or she can perform her special action, which in her case is to gain 2 travel actions but lose 2 health. You're spending your health to get extra travel in her case. Tamlin's special action would be to gain a +1 boon token, which would help him in his ability tests and things like that. And the other action that you can do is to purge shadows. So if someone was on this space or went to there, they could use one of their actions to get rid of that shadow token before it turns into a monster or something. At the end of the action phase, you enter the combat phase. So if our character here was on this space, then she would have to do combat with this Kelpie. So you would enter into combat rounds, and that starts with the character using their might against the defense score of the enemy, which is 6 in this case. So Freya has a might of 4, and she also has a special ability, which is for all tests in combat, roll an extra die and choose the highest result. So when she fights, she's basically rolling with advantage. So she has 4 might. She rolls 2 dice and adds the best die to her might score. That's a 6. So she matches the score there, but she needs to roll above in order to do any damage. So we didn't do any damage there. The next round, whether she's defeated the enemy or not, she still has to roll for defense, because the enemy will always get in their attack for that round. So that is versus your agility and a die roll. So she needs to get an 8. Her agility is 3 currently, because she doesn't have anything extra to improve that yet. So she rolls her 2 dice and adds 3. She gets a 4, which is her best. So 4, 5, 6, 7. But we still lose 1 health. But in any test, we can always use a will point or 2, or maybe more, to increase our score. So you can mitigate the dice rolls, but in this case we're going to lose 1 health. Then we go straight back to the next round and attack, adding our might again. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. So we do 2 damage to the enemy. Go to defend again with our agility of 3. Oh dear, that's not so good. That's a 6. So they beat us by 2, so we lose 2 more. But I'm going to spend 1 will to increase that and only lose 1. But at any point at the start of a combat round, you can choose to retreat, which means to go back the way you came by 1 space if you want to get out of a fight. But when you eventually defeat them by doing 5 damage in this case, 6 damage in that case, they are defeated and you get the reward, which in this case would be 1 gold, and you have defeated that enemy. So let's say we had defeated the Kelpie, for argument's sake, and the combat phases were over. Tamlin is not on an enemy space with him there. He doesn't have an enemy on that space, so he doesn't do the combat phase. Then you go to the fun part, which is the scenario phase. Now, Freya is on a wilds space. That's what the tree means. So she would take a wilds scenario card and read what it says. Dusk approaches and you search for a safe place to camp for the night. You come across a bubbling river that feeds several clear blue ponds. Laughing and singing can be heard, and you soon find a group of satyrs frolicking by one of the pools. Picnic is laid out nearby on a blanket of soft green moss. They notice your presence and beckon you to join them, but you feel conflicted. Enemies offering you food and drink is the last thing you expected. So then you make a choice, and depending on your choice, you may have to roll an ability test on one of your statistics, either might, agility, insight, awareness, persuasion, or resolve. And whether you win or lose will tell you the outcome. And sometimes these are in 2 parts. So if you fail the first part, you might not get to the second part. You just end the scenario card there. But I'll try not to give away any spoilers with that. If you end up on a quest token like that, then you take a card from the appropriate quest deck. And this is Morrigan's deck because of the raven there. And you do the same thing, but when you get to the end, if you succeed, you get to take the quest token. And those can be used in Act 2 in order to mitigate the threat of the enemy. So after the scenario phase, whether you take a quest scenario or an ordinary scenario, depending on where you are, you turn over a card from the event deck. And a lot of these are quite nasty, but some of them are quite good. So this first one, for instance, sacrifice. Each champion must choose to lose a companion or 2 health. So that's not so good. So some of these stay in play and have a lasting effect for the next turn until you turn over the next event card, which will then take precedence. There are also these affliction cards. There are all different types and they're all quite unpleasant. You can end up wounded, addicted, crippled, entranced, cursed, afraid, poisoned, all sorts of horrible things. So, and you can usually either rest or spend a resource or a will point or something to get rid of afflictions, because they're just going to make life more difficult for you. Now, it's not going to be a game for everyone. The rule book is sort of okay, but there are things missing. Like, it doesn't tell you that if your will is reduced to 0, then you are out of the game. Your champion is defeated. But that is the case. And the game world book here is nice. It gives you lots of flavour. These roads are just roads, but these things here are underground tunnels. So it's a bit like Journey to the Centre of the Earth, but it's just to see this. The line on the board doesn't really give you the magic of travelling underground, or the mysterious nature of that. So I just wish that there'd been something to put that across. You know, going into these underground catacombs and caves, it doesn't really come through in the game, and you know that would be especially mysterious and awesome, but it doesn't quite come across somehow. But never mind, it does put that across quite well in the scenario cards, so you do get some flavour of that when you're doing the scenarios. But just travelling from here to here doesn't really put across the magic of that. So basically, you take your heroes through their adventures for 5 rounds, then move on to Act 2, where the major enemy that you're facing will make their appearance, and you'll be trying to take them down before the 5 rounds of Act 2 have finished, or your heroes are defeated. And yeah, try and win. And it's a nice adventure game, and the footprint isn't that big, which is something I certainly like for this little table here. And I'm just going to include a few little edited highlights from the playthrough I did. And thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. With our first action, as I get my head around this, I'm going to move in here, purge shadows, and move out. So there, that's her go. Now Tamlin, we need you to get up there. 1, 2, 3. I'll leave you in a realm space, because you might want to buy something in the next round. So that's all of our actions for this turn. And now we move on to the combat phase, where nothing happens because we're not on with any enemies, and we now have to do a scenario card. So Thingy is on a capital. The night air is cool. As you walk along the streets, the city is still bustling with activity, and brightly lit braziers bathe the district in a soft warm glow. You eventually find yourself in an upper-class quarter. Test awareness against a score of 7. Our awareness is 3. That is a 7. Success. As you pass one of the large manors, some motion catches your eye. You investigate and discover a handful of black-clad thieves in the act of robbery. They freeze in surprise before their leader cautiously approaches you. She claims to be a member of the Coppers. They are targeting a corrupt official to give his ill-gotten wealth to the poor. Choose to assist them or have them arrested. Oh gosh, I'm going to assist them, I think, because they are corrupt, the official. Help the Coppers. By the end of the night, large bags of gold are dropped off at the local orphanage. Their leader pledges her aid in the future. Search the resource deck or hand and attach the Copper crew. Well, job done. Well, that didn't turn out so bad. And now Tamlin is on a realm space. So let's see what happens to him. Highwayman. Travelling along an empty stretch of road, you reach a stone bridge that provides a path across a river. Several rough-looking men approach you and demand a toll for passing through unharmed. Choose whether to pay them 1 gold or challenge them. He's not that tough, but you never know. He will not pay them, he'll do the other thing. You confront the bandits that are preying on the weak. Test might against a score of 6. We've got 3. That's 7. Success. You teach them a lesson and scare them off. One of them drops some coin in his rush to escape. Gain 1 gold. Okay, and now it's my least favourite part of the game, where we draw from the event deck at the end of the round. So, a light in the darkness. Each champion may choose to regain 4 health or 2 will. Well, we've not lost any yet, so unfortunately that really good and helpful thing was pointless. We move on to round 2, and I forgot to place a new shadow token. If that shadow token had remained, it would turn into a foe. So let's put his face down if I can, and pick one. Realm 5. So adding 4 to get 7. That is just 7, so we need to beat it to make a headway. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We defend. We attack. Wow, that's 10. 7, 8, 9, 10. They lose 3. We defend their 9. We do so, we get 5. We attack in the next round. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't do any damage. Rolling for a 5, we do. Roll to attack. It's a 5. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We do them 2 damage. So we've got 1 left. We have to defend. Oops, that's enough. And we attack in the next round. And we defeat them. We still have to roll for defense. 4, 5, 6, 7. We lose 2. 2. They are gone now, and we get 2 gold. Now we get the quest card for Tamlin. You find a secluded reflecting pool among an outcrop in the forest. The size of the circular pool is about the same as a large table. The rim is made of finely crafted stonework with engraved lettering. It is in an old language from another age. Test. Insight against a score of 7. His insight is 4. Yeah, I'll spend 2 will. The words give warning as the pool reflects an image representing the darkest evil of any person that looks upon its surface. You take care to avoid looking directly into the pool. A luminescent glow suddenly appears in its centre, and a sealed scroll case floats to the surface. You cautiously step into the pool and reach down to grab the scroll case, but an opposing force begins to pull it back down into the pool. Test might against a score of 8. His might is 3. Oh, yes. You pull with all your strength and lift the case out of the water. You open it and find a scroll with glowing song notes. Gain 1 quest token. I think I know why the Lonesome Gamer swears so much. So, after Act 1 with Morrigan, we turn over. Place Morrigan on a random shadow token with Fomorian invaders equal to half the number of champions. Then remove all quest and shadow tokens. Okay. Well, I guess that's the only shadow token, so she can go there. With some Fomorian invaders. So Morrigan cannot be attacked until all other foes on her space are defeated first. In combat against Morrigan, each champion will lose 2 willpower at the end of every round. A quest token can be spent to negate this loss for all champions in this combat. At the end of each turn, place a shadow token on any capital occupied by a foe or Morrigan, then move Morrigan and all foes 2 spaces to the nearest capital without a shadow token. If all capital spaces have shadow tokens, the players lose the game. So let's call this the final combat round. Tamlin, if he uses Onslaught, let's say he does, he will add 6. He misses. Hadrian adds 5. That's 11. That is good. He does 2 more points of damage, which means Morrigan is down to 8. Unfortunately, we cannot avoid her willpower effect at the end of this round. So, regardless of who defends, let's say, who's got agility? Well, Tamlin's got 2, and this round, and Hadrian's got 2. So Hadrian 6 loses 6 health. He's defeated, and Tamlin also loses his final willpower. So we could have done better, but Morrigan finally defeated us. It's been an epic. I've enjoyed it, and when I'm more awake, I shall enjoy having another go at this. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I got into it. Bit tired, bit frustrated, but fun. Dice chucking fun. A good old story. Great narrative bits in the cards. Thank you so much for watching.
The Fey host swiftly travels across the realms, subjugating all within its path. The mighty Fomorians tear through city gates, while the Fey Queen's eldritch power drains the will of any who resist. One by one, each capital surrenders, until the entire realm is finally conquered. Any surviving champions are taken as Morrigan's slaves, and the race of mankind is brought under her shadow. Morrigan reshapes the world to one of fantasy and dreams, where she rules for all time.